Okay, so far so good. I'm trying to get the echo out of the audio. And once again, this is our third try. It's 28th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. We'll take it through and go to the Spaceship Institute and talk to Mr. Kesh of the Kesh Foundation and the Knowledge Seekers from the Spaceship Institute. Okay, if you want to try it there, Mr. Kesh. Sorry for the interruptions.
Good morning for the third time. A good day, wherever you are, as we always say. We tried for a third time to see if still there is no echo and we can carry on. Repeating what we said, because you're recording again, that is that there are some people we announced or have been spoken internally with different members of the foundation around the world that we removed 5 reactors from their lab in the past 2 weeks. These are all the ceramics which John made due to the inherent, production problem with these ceramic cores. They interfere or they absorb or they reflect the fields which we produce in other cores, and they interfere with the working of the systems in the lab. So we remove these from one lab into another lab that they are not interfering with our system. And this process we had to take one reactor out of a set, a Starship star system, and so we have a vacancy for one reactor. As we discussed, we could build one reactor ourselves and make it the fourth one in that set, or as we now teaching internationally and working internationally with a lot of people around the world, knowledge seekers around the world can offer the reactors they have, working reactors, or a reactor they built and they think it's not working, or they think we might be able to utilize it here. So Rick will put a notice up on the forum. This is not a competition. This is trying to work together in a collectively or collaborating in different ways. We will choose collectively which reactor as we see fit here in the center, that it can, work with our other sets, and maybe 1 or 2 reactors we will request, if you like, to send to the foundation for it to be used, or you can bring it yourself. We don't accept any reactor which ends up at the front door, because it has to fit into the systems which we have here, and it has to be applicable that we can use it. So we'll have a look, and in the next week or 2 we announce which reactors we're going to take up, and if you want to bring it or send it to us, you can come here and connect it yourself, and we'll try to run a test and see what we can get from it, or how it can be added to the set. As I mentioned before, by bringing your reactor, it doesn't give you the right to stay here for a year or 2. As some people said, we can afford to live expenses. We have to have, first of all, the possibility of people who come here to stay, to pay for the tuition, and secondly, they can bring additional talent or information and knowledge into the foundation. If you have a reactor and you have the time and you want to be a knowledge seeker and bring your reactor, but your expertise at this moment are not something we can use, then we only love your reactor, not your expertise. But I'm sure everybody can collectively add to our knowledge in one way or another. But so we're looking for 1, possible 2 reactors. It can be as a backup, that we don't need to build a second one to keep, and put it up on the forum, and within the next week or 2 we decide collectively which one suits our setting here, and we'll start bringing it in and setting it up. There are some parameters, like it has to be a 6 millimeter pipe feed. It has to be a revolving valve, which is one of the better ways to have it, that we can have a condition of it. If it's a double core, it'll be good. If it's a single core multi-layering, it's still the same. We are looking for different variety or a different option, or another new ideas into it. A copper coil or a steel core we have plastic cores we have here, but maybe you can suggest, or you have developed something which is slightly different than what we have. We have to be open-minded in respect to everything. So if you make a reactor of a coconut shell and it works, still it's as good as our copper-coated fancy reactors. But the coconut should just stand at high speed and it doesn't crack. So we'll see how it goes and how we can develop this situation as international collaboration. We don't know. So we see what has to be. John says there'll be more holes in coconuts than in the ceramic. So we'll see what happens and how we can do this thing. The other position which is at the moment going with us is the situation with Africa and Ebola. We're still carrying on with our development, research and teaching, and hopefully Mr. Cash's sound has gotten worse. Maybe I'm getting old, that's why. Yeah, that's Arman. Yeah. So we are still carrying on with our work in Africa, and we have not received the data from the what do you call it? From the scientists. They managed to. They had to reproduce more material, and we'll see what comes up within the trials which are starting and going on there. We are still waiting for other developments. There's been a lot of situation in a way with the foundation here. We're trying to add to the knowledge more than trying just to build things. I think Marco and John can add to what we've learned and what we are learning here in the center. And the whole structure is that they're in process of teaching and learning this week, came across the understanding that a lot of people do not appreciate and understand the process of the use of the GANs and nano materials and matter. And this needs a lot of what do you call it, simple understanding, in a way that Marco has spent more or less whole week building a new cell, which is, you see it on the, if I open the camera, this cell, he will explain what is done and how it works. By building these cells, we came across sort of gap in the knowledge, which trying to fill in. As you understand that these combination of the GANs and nanomaterials has created totally new opportunities in energy production. But at the same time, we have to understand the method that the energy is produced. The process is that you have the GANs, which you put in these containers. You see it in different color, small. We're still using the contactless containers. And the nanomaterial is that the energy from the GANs is transferred through the nano layers, which is put in there by the electrodes into the nano layer coating, and you have two options. If the current flow goes from the nano layer to the copper inside, in the inner sanctum of the wire, you get the transition from the plasma to matter, and you create the AC. But at the same time, if you have a second electrode which is not coated and is in the liquid, and your nano-coated material, now the nano-coating outside plays the DC. So the wire on its outer core leads in conjunction with another point to a DC, but in conjunction with this inner copper wire leads to DC. And one of the problems which a lot of you will observe, or most probably have seen, and what I've seen in a way disheartens you, that is something wrong, and that is, you say, I get no AC or I get no DCs. I had an AC, but I don't have an AC now. I had an AC before. There is nothing wrong in what you read. It's the lack of understanding of what you are doing, in a way, what you're leading to. Go back to the very first talks about the GaNs and the nanomaterials, and go back into the understanding of the working of the plasma and the teachings of the energy production. One thing which you most probably have forgotten is that I was explaining to Marco this morning again, that you are dealing with universal condition. You are dealing with a plasma condition. In the universe, in the reality, even with the structure of the soul of the man, very much the same as your plasma of the GaNs and your gas and your nanolayers. You take from environment what you need at the point of the need. You don't, it's the habit of the man to get as much as you can and collect that one day you might need it. This is the problem with your GaNs and nano layer coatings. If you connect your wires and you get a DC reading, and then you don't get an AC reading, and then you get a DC reading, AC reading, and don't get one. One was more, one was less. I was getting 1 volt before, now I get 0.2 volts now. Understand, first of all, the equipment you use, how much energy it takes, and where you're storing the energy, what is its capability and what it needs. So I was showing today to Marco this morning. He has made a beautiful set, and the battery is charged, because John tried it for past couple of days in the same set. The battery wasn't getting charged. Marco has put it on for a couple of hours yesterday, and the battery is charged. And to him, he could not understand what is happening. This morning, I explained to him, I showed him, I said, touch the battery. The battery is not hot. The battery is normal room temperature. But your battery is fully charged. What does this mean? In electronics now, when you put a battery on the charger, when the battery gets charged, there's an electronic system that the miniature chip recognizes the battery is